Hi everybody, welcome to the channel. Welcome to this week's Sunday Gun Day video. My name is Scott. This is Blue Liner Milsurps. Our video this week is about this beautiful piece of history and historic firearm. This is a Mauser from South America, the Argentine Mauser Model 1891. Little history on this one. This one is a Model 1891. It was made in 1895 as part of a contract with the nation of Argentina by the Mauser Corporation. It was actually made by a secondary contractor by the name of Ludwig Loewe in Berlin, Germany. So when Argentina adopted this Mauser, they did not make them in Argentina. They actually contracted to Ludwig Loewe for making these rifles and then shipping them to Argentina. What is significant about this is part of a family of rifles, of early Mauser smokeless powder rifles. So we know from previous videos that smokeless powder was invented by the French in 1884. They shocked the world with the Lebel rifle in 1886, and everybody was scrambling. So Germany actually produced the German Commission Rifle 88, in which they did not contact or have Paul Mauser or the Mauser Corporation be part of that rifle. I think Paul Mauser was a little miffed at that. So he went ahead and developed a series of rifles starting in 1889, and there were three of them in particular. The first one that was made was the Belgian Model 1889, followed by the Turkish model of 1890 and the Argentine model of 1891. I do not have a Turkish 1890, but I do have a Belgium model 1889. So these are two virtually identical. The difference is there are a couple of differences. The features are all the same. So this rifle is a Belgian model 1889. The features are a magazine that is vertical, fits 5 rounds. It has the exact same type of bolt. All the features on the bolt are exactly the same. The only difference is that the Belgians had a barrel jacket, not an upper handguard on theirs, and the Argentines and the Turkish wanted handguards, not barrel jackets. Now this Belgian 18 is a model 1889, but it was actually made in 1916 by the Belgians working in Birmingham, Great Britain. They had evacuated Belgium when the Germans invaded in 1914. They actually got a lot of their workers and the manufacturing stuff out of Liège, Belgium, and they set up shop in Birmingham, Great Britain, so they could still make this rifle for the Belgian troops that were still fighting in the trenches of World War I. But this rifle is not what we're here to talk about today. But that is part of that 3-rifle early Mauser smokeless powder family: the Belgian 1889, the Turkish 1890, and the Argentine 1891. All 3 of them are virtually identical with the exception of the upper handguard and the barrel. There is also some different on the sights, but other than that, they are identical. They are all cock on open. They have the straight magazine. It is detachable. There's a little button down here to pull the magazine out. The bolt is exactly the same on all of them. And there is a little bit of difference, I believe, in the weight and the barrel length for them. But for the most part, all 3 of them are identical and they share the same features. The only features they don't share is the upper handguard and the barrel jacket on the Belgian that is not on the Turkish and not on the Argentine. So what we're going to do here is, to start this video, I'm going to show you how we disassemble the bolt. And after that, we're going to cut the video while I disassemble this whole thing. And I'm going to do that off camera because I need to clean it. I actually took this shooting a couple days ago, and I need to give it a deep cleaning. And that means take everything off, take the wood off, take everything off, and completely give it a deep cleaning. So before we do that, I'm going to show you And removing the bolt is very simple. We just put it in the up position. This is the bolt stop right here. Pull the bolt out. Now, taking the bolt apart is a little bit of an adventure, and I'm going to show you how we do this. I'm going to turn the camera a little bit, bring her down, so that you can see what we have to do. Once again, this was an early version of Paul Mauser's smokeless powder bolt. So in order to do this, we kind of have to have it on the edge, and we need a coin because we have to undo the bolt stop, or the bolt body from the bolt sleeve. So in order to do that, we have to put it on the edge, and we have to catch this that catches the sear, this part right here, which would be catches the sear on the bottom here. We have to move this all the way up. So we have to put it on the edge here and get it to come all the way up. And it is not easy to do so. And then once you get it up, we have to get a coin in there to hold it up. And sometimes you kind of need 3 hands to do this. And then once you get it, you get your coin in there so that the bolt sleeve stays up, and now you can unscrew your bolt from the body. And once you have unscrewed the bolt from the body, then you put it wood, and now we can take the bolt sleeve, move it down, put that coin in that position, and then once we get it down, then we can unscrew the cap, the cocking piece here. And then you can take it apart, and we have the very, very simple Mauser bolt, a bolt sleeve with a simple stop, firing pin spring, cocking piece, and bolt body. And I will go into more of this after I have reassembled everything. So we're going to stop the video, and I'm going to disassemble this completely down to its littlest parts. We're going to run them through the ultrasonic cleaner and CLP, and make sure that there's no rust anywhere, as this is a newer rifle to my collection. I don't expect it's in beautiful condition, and I don't really think there's going to need to be anything other than a deep cleaning and the ultrasonic cleaner to get it all ready to go there. So I'm going to stop the video for now, and after I get this disassembled, I will come back to you, and then we will talk more about the early Mauser bolt as opposed to the later Mauser bolt that came out in 1898. And you can see the progression of Paul Mauser's thinking when he goes from his smokeless powder bolt, his very first ones, the 89, 90, and 91 version, to about 10 years later, or 9 years later, in the 1898 to 1900 versions of his bolt. So we'll do that when I come back. So hang with me, and I'm going to stop the video while I take this apart, clean it, and then I'll come back to you and show you how we put it back together. Okay, welcome back, everyone. During that break, I completely disassembled this rifle and ran it through cleaners. It's been a couple hours. I made sure everything was cleaned inside and out. They went through the ultrasonic cleaner, CLP, and everything. They've been cleaned, dried, and everything is looking good. This was not a dirty rifle. I did take apart all the little pieces, cleaned them, put them back on, so including the parts of the buttstock here. So what I wanted to show you, the reason I did the disassembly, is I was telling you about the upper handguard. So here is the upper handguard on an Argentine Mauser. It is held on not by clips, but by copper wire. Now, when I got this originally, it had steel wire, which you don't want because steel wire could rust and steel wire can do bad things to the bottom of your barrel. So it was meant to be used with copper wire because copper wire does not rust. So again, this is a very early Mauser rifle. This is a model of 1891. The only difference is, as I showed you with the Belgian Mauser, that had a jacket, a barrel jacket, so they didn't need an upper handguard. The Argentines did not want a barrel jacket. They wanted an upper handguard, and what they came up with was this, with a piece of copper wire, 2 pieces of copper wire. So you say, well, how does that fit in the stock? Well, believe it or not, they actually thought of everything. And if we look in the stock here, you can actually see where there are inlets for that copper wire down there. So the copper wire will fit in to the stock. So you don't bend it or do anything else. You just put the copper wire around. You give it about 3 to 4 twists, cut off the bottom, leave it pointed down like it is. So you leave the twist pointed down, and those twists go right into the bottom. And that's why those inlets are cut. So let's go ahead and, since I've got it all cleaned, and we're going to put it back together. And so the first thing we do is we just go ahead and put it back into there, and you can see that the handguard fits perfectly with the copper wire. So we're going to put the barrel band back on here. Flip it over here. We have just a very simple spring to hold that on. And then we have a spring on the underside to hold that on. So the cap has a little indent on the inside that you can see right there. So we have to make sure that the cap goes on correctly. We got to make sure that this, because that's where the bayonet lug is, it's actually, you got to put it on upside down, twist it around, and then depress that. And I'm going to set it down here so I can use 2 hands to depress it while you put the barrel, the nose cap back on. That I'm going to have to use a little help. Well, we're going to have to get that barrel band down a little bit more. Once you get over it, it should go right on. There we go. Okay, so barrel bands are on. And I think I accidentally moved the camera. Sorry for that. Okay, now we have our detachable magazine. And all we got to do is put that back in. And the screws. So, small screw to the front. And larger screw in the rear. Make sure you hold it down, and it'll screw right on in. This firearm was in incredibly good condition when I got it. Nothing was stuck. Everything has worked great, which is both good and bad because, you know, I love working on these, and sometimes I really like to get one in a bad condition so that I can do a lot with it. And then you get one like this, you're like, wow, this is really, really nice. It's really, really beautiful. There's nothing more than just take it apart, do a deep clean, and put it back together. So there it is, the Argentine Mauser rifle all put back together. And now we're going to reassemble the bolt, and then I'm going to show you the progression of the Mauser bolt. So if we look at the bolt body, you can see that we have two locking lugs here. Two locking lugs, and then we have an integrated extractor right here, which is right here on top. Now, in the earliest models, that extractor was on top, but they ran into a little problem, so they moved it over here to the right on that. So this is a bolt that does not do what is known as a controlled feed. This one just has a push feed. It picks up the round out of that 5-round vertical magazine. It pushes it into the chamber while cocking on the close. And once you get it into the chamber, it's still not fully seated until you turn the bolt down, which puts these locking lugs into the mortises of the receiver. That is actually what locks it in, but it actually moves it forward so that this extractor can actually catch the rim of the round. Later Mauser bolts had a little different system, but this was the earliest smokeless powder bolt, so they had an integrated extractor that did not catch until it was actually in the receiver and the bolt had been turned. So let's put our gloves on. We're going to put the bolt back together, and then I'm going to show you how that works. So, firing pin, and the bolt sleeve, which has to go on at a certain angle. There it is. And then once you get down, you need to screw on the piece. And the trick here is to screw on the piece while holding it under all that spring pressure. So let's try it again. It's not easy to hold that down against that spring pressure, and then your finger's kind of in the way. Come on, there it is. And then your finger's kind of in the way and won't let it spin. So what you have to do is just get it started. There we go, we got it started. And we can switch hands and screw it on the rest of the way until it's flush. And then we will take and put our coin back in so that we can screw it into the bolt. Once you have it screwed around to the point where it will, right there. You can hold her down, pull that coin out. Yeah, that's right there. Turn the safety over and it should pop right down. There we go. Okay. Now she's ready to go back in. So, another neat little thing that they did in these, and I'll show you. You see on either side of the bolt sleeve here, what we have are little ears. And the reason for those, believe it or not, is not to handle the bolt sleeve. It actually has to do with your front locking lugs. If we look into the receiver, you can see that the locking lugs, when they go in, there's a little chamber that locking lug rides in until it gets up and then it turns into the mortise, into the void space when they go from horizontal to vertical when you turn the bolt down. When you do that, that leaves that channel right there open. Back when this was being made, back in the 1890s, they did have a lot of cartridge ruptures, and those ruptures could send hot gas back through that open channel. Not so much an issue today with modern ammunition, but it was a big issue back then. So the reason for the ears is to keep the hot gases from getting on the face of the soldier that was on the face of the soldier. There we go. So what you can see here are those ears, and they get in the way of that little chamber when it's in there. So what I wanted to show you really, I'm going to show you in this one. So in this model, when we go forward and we push the round in, remember it's a cock on close, this one. So I hope you can see where the locking lugs are. They're horizontal. Now it pushes the round in, and then we push it all the way in, and then we turn. But you see, as we turn, you see the bolt goes a little further in. And that's when that extractor catches the rim of the round. So it does not catch the rim of the round until it goes all the way down. Unlike later Mauser bolts, I'm going to show you here, this is a Car 98 from World War II. So around 1898, when Mauser did the Gewehr 98 for World War I, they used the very same system here in World War II. So I'm going to show you the bolt. Let me pull the bolt out. They changed how the extractor and how everything works. So now they have a really big extractor on the side of the bolt. We still have our locking lugs, and they actually added a third locking lug, Mauser did, for the bolt. But this is a really big extractor. The reason for that is, I will put this back into here, and I will show you, remember on the Argentine, when it went in, when we turned it down, it pushed it in just a little, that bolt in. Well, it doesn't need to, because the rounds in the follower here will come up and will come from underneath the bolt, and they will go into that big extractor on the side. And that's why this is a controlled feed, because the round is captured by the extractor and the bolt way back here. Unlike in the Argentine Mauser, it is not caught until we turn the bolt down, until it's all the way in and we turn the bolt down. That's when it's in battery and ready to be fired. That's when the rim of the case has been caught by the extractor. So this is kind of the progression of the bolt. This is also a cock on closing. This is a cock on opening. So watch when I open the bolt, you'll see the cocking piece go into the cock position automatically. So those are the major differences from the 1891 bolt to the 1898 bolt by Mauser. So Mauser always looking for new and interesting ways for his rifles. And you can kind of see the progression of a bolt from the 91 Argentine that had that integrated extractor, no controlled feed, to the big external extractor with a controlled feed and a cock on open in the 1898 versions. And this is, of course, a World War II version, but they use the exact same bolt. It's the exact same rifle, just shorter. Okay. All right. So that is it for this video on the Argentine Mauser Model 1891. Thanks for hanging out with me on this video and learning about that beautiful piece of military history. So thanks a lot. Happy Sunday Gun Day to you. Please like and share and leave a comment if you'd like. Please, as always, be nice and respectful. And if I got anything wrong, please let me know. That's it for this week. I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.